Is it 7?
That's the one that actually decided on, okay.
The Board of Trustees of Lamar Consolidated Independent School District is called to order at 7 p.m. This is the regular monthly board meeting being held on December 17th of 2020. We have a quorum with all members present, with the exception of Mr. Hubenak. Please join me in a moment of silence to observe as you feel. All right, please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance and the pledge to the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Are there any introductions?
Yes, Madam President, we have 5 introductions.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. Tonight, I'd like to introduce you to Chris Burkhalter. He is the new assistant principal at Lamar Junior High. He is a December 1989 graduate of Texas State University with a bachelor's degree in broadcast journalism. He received his master's in '92 in European history from the University of Louisiana Lafayette. He has 8 years of teaching experience. Congratulations. Our next introduction is Marilyn Cooper. Marilyn is the new assistant principal at Adolphus Elementary. She's a December '96 graduate of Southern Illinois University at Carbondale with a bachelor's degree in workforce education and development. She received her master's in 2010 in educational administration from Lamar University. She has 13 years of experience in education, including 10 years of teaching and 3 years as a facilitator. Congratulations. Next, we have our new Director of Purchasing and Materials Management, Robert Langston. Mr. Langston is a February 2014 graduate of Ashford University with a bachelor's degree in organizational management. He has 11 years of purchasing experience in Fort Bend, Houston, and Lamar, and he is currently on the job. Congratulations. And our last introduction for this evening is Robin Stone Lofton. Robin is the new Director of Technology Support Services. She has 17 years of experience in technology with Katy, Texas Children's Hospital, and Houston ISD. And for the past 4 years, she's been serving in the role of IT Manager in Houston ISD, and she will start in January. Congratulations.
Ms. Fossick, are there any public comments?
There are none, Madam Chairman.
So now we will approve the minutes for the November 17th, 2020 special meeting, the November 19th, 2020 regular board meeting, the December 1st, 2020 special meeting, and the December 3rd, 2020 special meeting. May I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes.
Ms. Danziger makes the motion. Second. Mr. Hunt seconds. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. I call for the vote. All in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
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 Okay, none opposed. Motion passes with 6. Are there any board member reports? Ms. Danziger?
Okay. Yes. We still are not being able to meet with the facility committee, although I'm going to look into after the first of the year if there's a way we can figure it out, because I think there's some information that that committee would probably like to be privy to as we move forward with all our projects. So we'll work on that after the holidays. But for right now, the Bond 2014 Tamron Elementary School, the final payment recommendation is on this December board agenda. For the 2017 bond, ALC additions and renovations, 1621, and Alternative Learning Center academic wing construction is in progress. The Jane Long Historical Gym renovations, the construction is in progress and scheduled to be complete by the summer of 2021. Transportation fuel tank replacement, tanks have been removed. Former fuel dispenser equipment removal in progress. Terry High School and George Junior High School additions and renovations. The Terry Band Hall addition, masonry, and roofing are in progress. The new George Junior High parking lot will be available after the winter break. Lamar Consolidated High School and Lamar Junior High School additions and renovations. The new high school administration area will be operational after winter break. Sub-varsity field area and visitors locker room construction are in progress. The multi-campus improvements and HVAC controls upgrades, the final payment is on this agenda tonight. Multi-purpose space at the high school and orchestra middle school additions, all 7 additions are in progress. Dr. Thomas E. Randall High School and Harry Wright Junior High School construction is 86% complete. FM 2977 and Copeland Road tie-in is in progress. Project is on schedule for schools to open in August 2021. Traylor Stadium press box, the final payment recommendation is scheduled for our January board agenda. Fletcher Morgan Junior Elementary School foundation and site work are in progress. And Maxine Phelan Elementary School, the design development is in progress. So we do have a lot of projects in progress and working on, and hope to get a little more information next month. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Hunt?
Yes, ma'am. This year has been incredibly difficult for a lot of families, so given that the holidays and the end of year is approaching, I asked for some numbers to show the scope and depth of the incredible work that our district and its community partners are doing to serve our most at-risk students and our families that are in need of the most help. So I appreciate providing these numbers. So from the school building closure at the beginning of the pandemic until August 2020, the Child Nutrition Department provided 243,007 free meals to our students. At the beginning of September, during the start of the USDA waiver program allowing free meals for all students, the district from September, October, and November provided 836,656 meals to our students. So that means from March until the end of November, the district provided 1,079,663 free meals to our students who might not ordinarily have had an opportunity to get a meal, which is absolutely incredible. Common Threads has distributed 5,600 articles of clothing from March 2nd, 2020 to December 4th, 2020, and 784 backpacks that were filled with school supplies at the Hope on the Brazos event. The family support specialists who have shown the incredible work that they've done, especially this semester, and are working incredibly hard. They've had 3,916 touch points with individual students and parents from August 24th to December 4th. That's an average of 66 students per day. There's 7 family support specialists. That's over 59 days of school. That means that that's roughly 9.5 students per day per family support specialist. The ASAP program is ensuring that our parenting students have the resources and support they need to stay in and complete high school. And I'd like to personally thank the Student Services Department, Dr. Roberts and her team, Dr. Maxwell, Dr. Mossage, and Dr. Randall for making sure that our most at-risk students are getting the services that they need. But I know that this is just a small fraction of the work that's being done to support families, and our teachers are going above and beyond. The custodial staff is ensuring that we have safe schools to learn in. Transportation's ensuring that the buses are clean and safe to get our kids to school. And we have community partners that are doing the selfless work of supporting our students too. Lunches of Love is providing meals, more meals for our students than ever before, to ensure that the kids don't go hungry when they're out of school. From March 16th to August 21st, they provided 240,112 lunches. And in the fall semester, they provided 27,589 weekend care packages to our most at-risk students. Soul Loved is making sure that kids have fresh sneakers. Mercy Goods is helping make sure that our at-risk students have support outside of school. I just wanted to let everybody inside the district, all of our community partners, all of our teachers, let you know that you're very much appreciated, and I thank you for the work that you're doing every day for our students and families.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Hunt, for the update. Anyone else? I'd like to share regarding Ms. Knight, who has been our executive director for LEAF. In October 2020, Janice Knight announced her retirement as executive director of the Lamar Educational Awards Foundation after 20 years. Tonight, I want to take a moment to thank Janice and highlight her tenure with Lamar CISD. Janice is the first and only executive director of LEAF and has played a major role in the growth, development, and success of the foundation. LEAF's annual events such as Men Who Cook, Surf's Up, and the new teacher dinner are well known throughout Fort Bend County. Under her leadership, LEAF has donated more than $4.6 million and 2,500 grants, teaching grants, to directly benefit students by funding creative classroom ideas and engaging learning opportunities. LEAF also provides scholarships to graduating Lamar CISD students and to paraprofessionals working on their teaching certificates. Janice's tenure as executive director of LEAF has impacted thousands of students and staff. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I want to thank Janice for her dedication to Lamar CISD and wish her the best of luck in retirement.
Person that no one can say no to.
Dr. Randall, do you have any reports?
The only thing that I want to do is thank you, Mr. Hunt, for highlighting all the hard work that our staff has been doing during the course of this fall. And I just want to personally, again, thank them for all of their hard work. And it is such an honor to be a part of an organization that cares so much about each other and the community. And so I encourage them to, when the bell rings tomorrow, not before the bell rings, but when the bell rings tomorrow, that you go and get you some rest, and enjoy your families, hug them, tell them you love them, and then we'll see you this next school year ready to go, or this next year in January.
Okay, so now we will now open the meeting for the public hearing on Financial Integrity Rating Systems of Texas for fiscal year 2018 through 2019. It is 7:13 p.m.
Good evening. I'm pleased to present the annual financial accountability, if I can speak, the annual financial accountability management report for the year ending August 31st, 2019. First of all, the goals of School First are to achieve quality performance in the management of school districts' financial resources. Supplemental goals are to measure the performance using uniform indicators, and also to improve financial management transparency. Changes to the rating system can be made periodically by the TEA. For 2018-19, there were 15 indicators, including critical, solvency, and financial compliance and competence. Indicator number 5, which is one of the critical indicators, was not scored this year, and that one deals with net position. The final ratings were released on November 6th of 2020. Districts are required to prepare the annual financial accountability report, and it must include the district's performance on the indicators for the year that's being rated, as well as comparisons to previous year's ratings. It has to include a copy of the superintendent's current employment contract and a summary schedule of several items, including reimbursements received by the superintendent and the Board of Trustees, gifts received from vendors, business transactions between board members and the school district, and other descriptive information. The scoring sheet and the rating is basically an A, B, C, or an F rating. An F is substandard achievement. Ratings on the critical indicators are yes or no answers. Yes answers are the required answer. Any no answer in these 5 would result in a rating of F and a substandard performance. Ratings on the remaining indicators are worth 10 points maximum apiece. A maximum score is 100 points. And again, as you see, 90 to 100 is an A or a superior rating, and below 60 or a no or a no to the critical indicators would be substandard. I'd like to talk a little bit about the critical indicators, and as I mentioned, there's 5 of those. And these are the ones we have to have yes answers to. Number 1 is whether our annual financial report and the data that goes along with it was submitted to the TEA in a timely fashion. We did that. Indicators 2A and B also have to do with the annual report. One, was there an unmodified or a clean opinion, which we had that, and and whether or not the external auditor reported any type of instance of material weakness in internal controls over financial reporting, or any non-compliance with federal funds, local or state funds. Indicator 3 is whether or not the school district's in compliance with the payment terms of all our debt agreements, which are mainly our bonds. Indicator number 4 whether or not the school district made their timely payments to the other governmental agencies like the IRS, the TRS, TWC, and other agencies. And then indicator number 5, which was the one that was not rated this year, had to do with whether our unrestricted net position balance was greater than 0 in the financial report. Moving on to the solvency indicators. These measure the district's ability to meet its debt and other obligations. Indicators 6 through 12 are the solvency indicators, and I thought we'd talk about a few of those. Number 7 has to do with our current ratio, and that's your current assets divided by your current liabilities. And it checks to see whether we have sufficient assets to cover our short-term debt. The targeted ratio for TEA is 3.0, and Lamar's current ratio is 6.5. Indicator number 8 has to do with the ratio of long-term liabilities to total assets, and it measures our long-term solvency and checks to see how highly leveraged we are. This ratio should be less than 1.0. Ours is 0.93. So we passed that indicator that way. This indicator also has a fast growth district exception. If your growth rate over 5 years is 7% or more, then you automatically pass this indicator as well. Our growth rate over 5 years was 18.03%, so we passed that indicator both ways. Indicator number 10 is one where we did not get all 10 points, but I'll explain why that is as well. This one is our debt service coverage ratio, and it's checking to see if we had sufficient assets to meet required debt service. The TEA's recommended performance to get the full 10 points would be a ratio of 1.2. Ours was 1.04, so we got 2 out of the 10 points. Districts earn additional points there by having a greater excess of revenues over expenditures for the current year that's being rated, or to maintain a large debt service fund balance, or having little or no bond issuance costs. In a school district that's continually issuing bonds, there's going to be many times we will have debt issuance costs. And also, our district does not maintain a high level of debt service fund balance. And we pass a balanced budget every year, so we don't always have a lot of excess revenue over expenditures either. We strategically manage those funds and utilize those funds in order to keep our tax rate low in the M&O fund and also in the INS fund. And that's in the best interest of our taxpayers. So that kind of hurts us in this rating system. Moving to financial competence indicators. These measure the district's skills, knowledge, and data quality. These are indicators 13 through 15. Indicator 13 deals with whether our PEMS reporting and our annual financial report match when we submit to TEA. The TEA wants that ratio to be 3% or less, and we're well below that. We're at like 0.000%, so our data matches to the T. Indicator number 14 is whether the external auditor reported that our annual report was free of instances of material noncompliance for grants and contracts and laws relating to all types of funds, local, state, and federal. We've not had any instances of a material noncompliance for grants, laws, contracts in the 18-19 year that's being reviewed or in any prior year. So here's our track record, and we're continuing in the same fashion. So we had a superior rating this year as well. And with that, I will answer any questions you might have.
It's hard to have any questions when it's superior for so many years in a row. So congratulations to you and Dr. Randall and the whole administration for managing all of this so well for so long.
Thank you, thank you. We're gonna keep going.
That's right. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so, do we have any public
No.
comments?
No public comment.
So no public comments, okay. So, no public and no board, hearing none, we will close the hearing. It is 7:23 p.m. Okay, at this time, we'll establish a consent agenda. The board creates a consent agenda, which are items the board members feel there's no need for further discussion. So we will start with action items A1, B1, B2, B3, B4, B5, B6, B7, B8. We pull up the resolution, or,
Yes.
yes, so we'll pull that one. B9, B10, B11, B12, B13, B14, B15, and that is it. Okay, so the only one, so the consent agenda will be,
Yeah, actually,
Okay, this
it
one?
can, 8 can be on the consent agenda, you're just gonna read it out.
oh, got it, okay. So the consent agenda is A1, B1, B2, B3, B4, B5, B6, B7, B8, B9, B10, B11, B12, B13, B14, B15. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda? Mr. Welch makes the motion. Second. Ms. Bronzell seconds the motion. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor, please raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all opposed? Ms. Kaminsky, did you raise your hand? I'm sorry.
Ma'am.
She did,
She did?
didn't you?
Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't see it behind all your goodies.
All your goodies.
Okay, motion carries. So, let's see. Okay, so page 52. Ms. Bronzell, would you like to read the?
Whereas National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day is celebrated throughout the United States on January 9th, 2021, and whereas 780,000 law enforcement officers across the country put on a badge not knowing what dangers they may face in the line of duty, and whereas Lamar CISD is the proud home of many dedicated law enforcement officers who put their lives on the line to keep our community safe. And whereas law enforcement officers play an integral part in our society and are guardians of our way of life. And whereas we appreciate the extraordinary efforts and sacrifices made by officers and their family members on a daily basis in order to protect our schools, workplaces, roadways, and homes. Therefore, be it resolved that the trustees of the Lamar Consolidated Independent School District declare January 9th, 2021 as Law Enforcement Appreciation Day in the Lamar Consolidated Independent School District.
Thank you. So now, we are now ready to review the information items. We will begin with a presentation
Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry,
on on the stewardship reports.
I'm just mumbling over here.
Okay.
Madam President, the stewardship report is designed to update and remind us of the work the staff has done this year. Since January, the staff has implemented the Smart Tag system in full-day pre-K, successfully conducted a TASB staffing study, facility study, compensation study, bond referendum, and began the transition of our police department. To add to the list was our COVID response, Cameron zoning, Randall Wright zoning, and supporting board community conversations. LCISD was the largest district in the region to begin school both in person and virtually. Lamar Consolidated continues to be an A-rated district with a staff dedicated to student success. In this report, you will find information regarding academic improvement, financial strength, and organizational excellence, as well as the district's COVID-19 response. On page 3 and 4 are the superintendent SMART goals. 13 of the 17 goals are complete. 4 of the goals were impacted by the decision to pause the state accountability system. The audit recommendations are on page 5 through 15. 88 of the 106 recommendations have been completed. 18 are in progress and were impacted by COVID. Dr. Mosich will now update you on academics.
I am pleased to highlight the work of the Department of Academics. Pages 16 through 22 outline STAR and EOC performance throughout the years, as well as comparisons to other area districts. Due to the COVID pandemic, STAR and STAR EOC exams were canceled and no accountability ratings were assigned. Pages 23 through 28 document performance in advanced studies. Highlights are page 25. 4,804 AP exams were administered in May in the midst of the pandemic. The percentage of exams earning a 3 or higher was at 44%, a 3% increase from the previous year, and could save students roughly $2.1 million in tuition costs and fees. Page 27. cites a multitude of advanced placement recognitions as a result of the May performance. 245 AP scholars, 77 AP scholars with honors, 113 AP scholars with distinctions, and 16 national AP scholars. Page 28 notes performance honors on the 11th grade PSAT that was administered in the fall of 2019. Results are 3 National Merit semifinalists, an increase from 1 the previous year, 8 National Commended Students, 2 National Hispanic Scholars. 3 new awards were implemented in the 2019-2020 school year, 2 National African American Scholars, 1 Indigenous Scholar, 14 National Rural and Small Town Scholars. Pages 36 through 38 demonstrate actions in the Student Support Services Department. A special note is on page 38. Through generous support from the George Foundation, we have been able to expand the partnership of the Houston Galveston Institute to provide 100% therapeutic access for students for the remainder of the school year. Pages 40 through 56 details the work of our teaching and learning team. Of special note is the implementation of full-day pre-kindergarten programs across the district in the 2021 school year. Turning to pages 50 through 51, highlights the selection of the district as a blended learning demonstration site in the second cohort of Raising Blended Learners, which includes up to $300,000 in grant funding plus additional in-kind technical assistance to implement a personalized learning program. Page 55. This cites the work of our staff development department, which shows that teachers, administrators, and paraprofessionals completed a collective 110,336 hours of professional learning. Page 58. This details our pre-service and induction program. The pre-service cohort, through our continued partnership with the University of Houston Victoria, began in January of 2020 and concluded in December with 19 candidates graduating on December 12th with a master's degree in educational leadership. 17 new assistant principals participated in AP induction last year, and the third cohort is currently underway with 9 participating. The principal induction program was launched in September 2019 with 9 new campus principals. The second cohort is in session with 4 new principals engaged in learning. Turning to page 59. Documents key leadership strands of professional training with principals. Highlights are numerous campuses are participating in various phases of the 2-year Holdsworth Campus Leaders Program. 6 principals participated in the Executive Education Academy, a partnership between Rice School of Business and Houston Education Leadership Partners. Page 59 through 61 cites the work of the Special Education Department. Of special note is on page 60 with the launching of the PowerPoint program to meet the needs of some of our more severely emotionally disturbed students. Last, page 62 through 68 documents a multitude of recognitions for elementary and secondary campuses performing arts and athletics.
If you turn to page 69, it shows we are now the #5 fastest growing school district in the state of Texas. Our current enrollment is approaching 37,000 students. We're adding approximately 1,300 students per year, and within this decade, we're projected to reach 61,000 students in Lamar CISD. In response to this rapid growth, the board called for a 2020 bond referendum. You will see on page 70 that on November 3rd, the Lamar CISD community passed the largest bond in district history, approving propositions A and D at $666.8 million. If you were to break out every project included in the 2020 bond, our community approved 236 of 239 proposed projects. If you turn to page 72, you'll see the Lamar CISD Police Department was also approved in 2020, and despite the many challenges of COVID-19, we are wrapping up many of the final details now. In fact, our records management system is the last major piece, and once that is complete, we expect to officially launch sometime in early 2021. On page 73, we're always proud to report that our Education Foundation LEAF has donated over $375,000 this year alone during a pandemic. That marks over $4.6 million in donations, as mentioned earlier, from LEAF since the year 2000. On page 75 in transportation, we are very pleased with the smooth rollout of Smart Tag this year. Again, this is the card system that our students will swipe as they board or depart our buses. It will make sure they are A, on the right bus, and B, getting off at the right stop. Parents can register at the Smart Tag portal for notifications regarding that system. If you flip over to page 76, you will see a high-level overview of our COVID-19 response. First, you will see our academic team was extremely resourceful to end the 1920 school year as staff developed campus logistics, implemented virtual instruction, moved our graduations outdoors, and assisted with the transition plans for our current school year. On page 78, you will see communicating with our families remains a priority, especially during a pandemic. Email notifications are sent to parents and staff members anytime there is an active COVID-19 case on any of our campuses. Additionally, a return to school guidelines page was created in July, outlining all of our health and safety procedures. To date, this page has been viewed over 126,000 times. On page 79, you'll see our HR department has monitored student and employee COVID-19 data since the pandemic began. This includes both diagnosis and quarantine information. Since last March, HR has also worked with finance to implement the new leave related to the Families First Coronavirus Response Act, while also partnering with support services to implement a COVID-19 daily digital screener that all of our employees are required to complete every single day prior to reporting to work. On page 80, you'll see our finance department has funded various supplies associated with the pandemic while also continuing to ensure smooth business operations. Finance has also filed 10 reimbursement claims under the CARES Act that total $13.2 million, of which $4.8 million has been received to date. On page 81, you'll note that Child Nutrition has 19 curbside locations offering weekly meals at no cost for children 18 and under. Mr. Hunt mentioned the great work happening there. In October alone, they served well over 77,000 meals. Meanwhile, in M&O, PPE distribution remains a priority for Lamar CISD. For example, before this school year began, M&O delivered 25,000 washable masks, 74,000 disposable masks, 3,600 gallons of hand sanitizer, 5,000 pump dispensers, and 5,000 wearable face shields. Finally, on page 82, you will see that Technology Services deployed thousands of devices last school year following the pandemic. In all, over 11,000 laptops and tablets were distributed to our students in grades pre-K through 12. Since then, the district has purchased 8,000 additional laptops, set up a student and community help desk, assisted with the employee screener mentioned, and launched the interactive COVID-19 dashboard, which allows anyone to view up-to-date information regarding Lamar CISD COVID-19 statistics. If anyone is interested in viewing that dashboard, it can be found on our website, and it's updated twice daily, Monday through Friday.
Rapid growth, the pandemic, and the implementation of House Bill 3 all impacted the district's finances in 2019-20. Highlights begin on page 83 and are preliminary and undergoing annual audit. Projected operating results reflect an increase of $1.354 million to the total fund balance. Revenues of $316.2 million exceed expenditures of $314.8 million. Property taxes and state aid were right on target as budgeted, but federal revenues came in under budget. On page 84 is information regarding the first year implementation of House Bill 3. Our state aid gain was over $15.2 million, and we were required to use 30% of that, or over $4.5 million on teacher compensation. We exceeded that requirement by spending $15.35 million on educator increases, thereby exceeding 100% of the revenue gain. Details regarding the 1920 expenditures may be found on pages 85 and 86. Big ticket items represent 90% of the year's expenditures. Referring to the chart on page 86, almost 75% of expenditures were focused on direct instruction, demonstrating a strong commitment to student learning. Per the chart on page 87, the 2021 budget was adopted in August and totaled $337 million. Specifics regarding the status of the general fund balance are found on pages 87 through 89. The chart on page 88 illustrates that unassigned fund balance is at 18.45% and is well within the targeted range. Revenues are significantly impacted by property values, and from the graph on page 89, you can see that values have more than doubled since 2010 and are growing at a rate of 9%. It's also important to note from the list on page 90 that the top 10 taxpayers account for almost 5% of the taxable base. The chart at the bottom of page 90 reflects the interrelationship of property taxes and state aid. Property taxes account for about 57% of combined formula revenue. Budgetary endeavors on page 91 include improving transparency and collaboration, expanded use of analytics, and strategic website development. Moving to page 91, purchasing and distribution received the Award of Merit for the second consecutive year, and as shown in the chart on page 92, processed almost 10,000 purchase orders, even with the closure of schools. Our successful management of the district's tax rate is discussed beginning on page 93. On page 94, we noted that the last sale of bonds relating to the 2017 election closed with a total interest cost, or TIC, of 2.85%. Also, a refinancing of $90 million in variable rate bonds resulted in issuing fixed rate bonds with a TIC of 2.73%, potentially saving taxpayers $40 million over the life of the bonds. You can see the success of the district's refundings in the chart on page 95. Tax rate information can be found in the charts on pages 96 and 97. Lamar CISD maintained a steady tax rate for 8 years, decreased its tax rate last year, and decreased it again this year. Our tax rate is below the average rate of the surrounding 10 school districts.
The Human Resources section begins on page 98, which shows our applicant and new hire data for all categories of employment. Last year, we had 4,500 applicants and hired over 760 new employees, with about half of those being teachers. Both applicant and new employee numbers are lower than the previous year. On the next page, you will see that Human Resources staff extended 481 employment offers to certified staff, and 454 individuals accepted the offer, which represents a 94% acceptance rate. The graph at the bottom of the page provides job fair data. This year's job fairs were moved to a virtual format. There was decreased participation for the teacher job fair, but there was a significant increase in the support services job fair attendance. Page 100 focuses on student teachers. In the past 2 semesters, the district has hired 21 individuals who student taught in the district. Even through the pandemic, the district has continued to work with universities to host student teachers and has allowed college students to conduct virtual observations. Page 101 highlights teacher hiring data, and the data reflects that this year's group looks similar to the previous year in terms of degrees and experience. Staff diversity continues to be a priority in the district, as page 103 depicts. As you can see, diversity among campus administrative staff has increased significantly in recent years. Turning the page, you can see information that shows the teacher retention rate is almost 91%, which represents a 4% increase from the prior year. The subsequent pages provide more detailed data related to teacher resignations. Page 111 provides information about the district's performance in unemployment hearings. The district maintained an 83% success rate, even though last year's unemployment claims were more than double the previous year. Teacher absence data can be found on page 112, and the significant decrease from the prior year can be attributed to completing the year via virtual instruction. Employee participation in the medical plan can be found on page 114. Both the number of employee participants and dependents have increased over the prior year. Claim cost sharing data is provided on the same page and shows the portion of the medical costs paid by the employee and the cost paid by the district. Workers' comp claims data can be found on pages 118 and 119. The total number of claims and costs were impacted by last year's school closure, and as a result show a substantial decrease from the previous year. Employee leave data is provided on page 120. Please note this excludes COVID-related leave information referenced earlier by Dr. Rockwood. Pages 121 and 122 show an upward trend in the number of record requests, service requests, and personnel actions processed, which correlates to the growth in the number of employees.
The Support Services Department continues their focus on working collaboratively and providing excellent customer service to all campuses, facilities, and the community that we serve. In the area of child nutrition, on page 123, you will see a breakdown of child nutrition revenues and expenditures. Given the district closure in March of 2020 and the modified reopening, the revenue stream for child nutrition was negatively affected. Fortunately, the department had a sound fiscal reserve and has been able to compensate for the decrease in revenue without negatively impacting the district general fund. Child nutrition leadership has positioned the department well, and that fund balance has been useful during the pandemic. On page 124, staffing is referenced. Due to continued growth in the district and the addition of campuses, the department did add 3 field supervisors for the 2020-2021 school year. These supervisors spend their workday in the field, visiting campuses and overseeing operations of the school cafeterias. This additional oversight has proved very effective in managing cafeteria operations and standardizing the quality of food offerings. In the area of facilities and planning, referenced on page 126, the long-range facilities assessment and master plan was completed. This information was crucial in assisting the Bond Advisory Committee in their work to identify proposed bond projects that were recommended to the board for the 2020 bond election. The Facilities Department also completed work to move the facilities reservation and request system to an automated program called Facilitron. Through use of this program, the district will function more efficiently in this area, and rental fees will be more efficiently collected. In the area of maintenance and operation, on page 127, the department has continued to plan for and add additional maintenance and custodial staff to clean and maintain additional buildings as they come online. These areas include staff to maintain buildings and custodial staff to clean and disinfect campuses. As the district continues in a fast growth mode, 17 additional portable buildings were installed at various campuses across the district. M&O assists in procurement of the buildings, placing at sites, and then overseeing the install of all utilities, decks and ramps, and making sure all systems are operational as the buildings are utilized for instruction. In the area of technology, it has been a very busy year. On page 128, Classlink was selected and rolled out as a solutions provider to deliver a single portal for staff and students to access their district content online. This application proved extremely useful for all learners, but especially those that chose the virtual modality for the 2020-2021 school year. Also on page 128, the Technology Department worked with the Facilities Department to identify E-rate federal funding for new campus construction. This collaboration resulted in a net savings at Randall and Wright Complex and result in hundreds of thousands of dollars that will be reimbursed to the district for the technology portion of the construction project. Finally, on page 131, wireless access points were replaced and upgraded at several district facilities and campuses. These new wireless access points allow faster internet access as well as significantly increases the number of devices that can access a point concurrently. The remaining campuses and sites will be upgraded using Bond 2020 funds that were approved by the voters in November of this year. Thank you.
The Board of Trustees' clear directions emphasizing sustained academic improvement, continuing financial strength, and organizational excellence remains our roadmap for success. We believe this report shows Lamar CISD is headed in the right direction. While the goals are clear, the district staff is aware it must continue to deliver an exemplary education for taxpayers at a price they'll support. With the board's guidance, Lamar CISD will continue to be a destination district in the Houston area for students, their families, and our employees. Madam President, that concludes our presentation.
Thank you so much.
And we are open for questions.
Well, now I know why you told them to get some rest. thank you so much for providing us that information. I tried to read through it all, but I like your highlights better. But thank you. It's been a very interesting 10 months.
Any other?
I also wanted to thank y'all for the work that goes into this. I can tell it's super detailed and it's really helpful to me. On page 25 where it shows the advanced placement exams, the district's obviously done a lot of work in increasing the numbers of the AP exams, and it really shows it nicely there, particularly like at Terry and Lamar, and I mean almost in 4 or 5 years doubled the number of AP exams, which is incredible. So excellent work to you and your team, Dr. Mossage. I had one question on page 35. So it talks about the CTE program and the collaboration with Texas State Technical College. It said in 2018 and 2019, 14 LCISD students attended classes through TSTC. Do you know why it's not more? Or are we doing anything to encourage more students to take advantage of the collaboration with TSTC?
Yes, our current CTE director also is going to be meeting with the counselors to also begin looking at ways in which to continue to share that pathway to ensure that our counselors are providing guidance. I know that Dr. Roberts and Dr. Lazar have communicated about that.
Okay. All right, thank you.
On page 36, it talks about mentors. This is another program that we have, mentors. Mentors are a great thing. How do you go about distinguishing a mentor for the LAMP program versus some of the other programs in the district that utilize mentors?
Well, this is a lot of the mentors that are within our employees that are also kind of providing services and being connected to kids. And so it's just one of many other different programs. I'd have to kind of get back to you on the specific kind of differences between all of the different mentor programs.
Yeah. Just curious, 'cause I know some of the other programs utilize them and match up adults with kids at risk for academic reasons or truancy reasons and other reasons, things like that. So I was just kind of curious. It's a very thorough report to all of you.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you all so much for all the hard work.
Thank you.
very much.
Now they can go relax.
Madam President, I think that's all of the information items.
Are there any other questions on the other information items?
Were we gonna have any COVID report tonight or not? Is there anything to update us on?
Not unless there are questions, because a part of it was in the stewardship.
Okay.
Okay.
Did you have a question, Ms. Ganser, or your-
No, well, I know we've been told this before, and I just want to clarify because I've been hearing different things. When a child does call in and say that they have tested positive for COVID, I know you did the tracking. Is the teacher notified that there's someone in their classroom so that they can reach out and go virtual with that child if they're not having to do it themselves?
Yes, ma'am. The teacher is actually usually questioned to make sure that what protocols were followed in the classroom. So the teacher is made aware, and in most cases, we were able to switch the child to virtual.
Because, you know, there's a lot of conversations out there. That's why I wanted to bring it up again tonight. So if anyone has any other questions about that, that's what I thought. But I appreciate you reiterating it. Thank you.
Okay, so if there's no other questions or comments, it is 7:54 PM. We are adjourning to closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code Sections 551 551.071, 551.072, 551.074, and 551.082, the Open Meetings Act to discuss personnel, land acquisition, or consultation with our attorney. Back in, are we in? Yes. We're now back in open session. It is 8:52 PM. We have a quorum with the exception of Mr. Hubenak. Are there any motions to be made?
Madam Chairman, I move that the Board of Trustees approve the personnel as presented with addendum.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
None opposed, motion carries.
Madam Chairman, I move that the Board of Trustees approve the recommendation of April Nemec as the LEAF Executive Director.
Can I hear a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Welch seconds. All in favor, raise your hand, say aye.
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 None opposed, motion carries. Are there any future agenda items?